All right, welcome back to the fifth Guildies podcast. We have a special guest with us today, Matt Dabrowski, the Dabrowski Factor, dev for Streets of Rogue, and you're the only dev on the team, correct?
Yeah, for the most part. Currently I'm the only one who works on the game full time. I had someone else do sound and music. There's a guy named Craig Barnes, and someone else did a bunch of the artwork. That was Matthew Weeks. But yeah, full time like day-to-day development on the game is basically just me.
Wow. That is fantastic. I think the reason that Matt came on this podcast, and I mentioned this in the previous one, is I bought Streets of Rogue like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, and I liked the game so much I bought it for my two buddies. So I spent it was like what, $24.99 I think.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't wait for the Christmas sale?
Well, yeah. So I bought it for both of them.
I think it was like 71% off.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Much appreciated, though.
Yeah. Well, I said that in the other one. I'm like, Matt will be coming on. I just spent like $70 on his video game.
Yes, much appreciated. Thank you. I'm very happy to hear that.
Well, fantastic. Let's dive right into it, Matt. Obviously, you're into video games. What video games are you playing right now?
Well, I was trying to play Cyberpunk. Yeah, trying being. I got like partway through the first mission, and I found a game-breaking bug, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna wait about 3 to 6 months to try and get back into this. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it. I am. It's just it's not quite ready yet, I don't think. But aside from that, I've just been trying to play a lot of open world games since. Well, I mean, it kind of ties into what I'm doing with the sequel to Streets of Rogue. Doing like an open world kind of thing. So I've just been trying to sort of, do as much research as I can by doing a lot of playing of any open world games from different companies I can check out. One of them recently actually was pretty interesting one, Watch Dogs Legion, pretty interesting because a lot of people have mentioned to me like, hey, this is like 3D Streets of Rogue.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard much about this game, but it's like you run around the city doing like sort of these missions where you have to break into buildings, and you can mostly hack your way through. Hacking sort of the main selling point of the game, but you also shoot things and take down guards and whatnot. And so you can play as like a whole different. You can play as anyone in the city, like anyone from just some random like person who's a construction worker to like an old lady. Usually there's no reason to actually want to play as these people,
right.
But if you want. Yeah, like I said, like some people have they have different traits. Like some people have the trait. Well, one video I saw online, the person took over an old lady and she had the trait sudden death, where the person can just die at any time. So it takes her over, and like a second later, she's dead. Just dies.
Wait, yeah. that's like an old person trait. Like you can just die instantly.
Yeah, it's not even just old. I've seen it like a bunch of people like that are available to. I don't know why they would have that in the game. Honestly, it seems like a bizarre.
Yeah, I don't.
Play as a character with this thing. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, you can play as characters with like negative traits. It's just you don't have to, because there's so many characters that just have no negative traits and a bunch of positives. So
right,
it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, not that the characters in Streets of Rogue are like incredibly balanced, but I try to differentiate them quite a bit. Some of these are just completely worthless in this game. But overall, I like the game. It's a lot of fun.
That I've heard good things about that. That's interesting that you're doing like not market research, but you're like researching like a lot of open world games. Do you have like a lot of like older games that were open world that were like favorites of yours?
Yeah, I mean, like I guess the concept of open world. I guess it's sort of. Like going back to like the days of like Sid Meier's Pirates. I guess you could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was a big fan of that when I was younger. Which is this game where you just sort of do whatever you want. You can board ships and take over ships and trade if you just spend the whole game trading if you want to. I don't know why you want to do that. It seems pretty boring, but
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it sort of had the general principles of open world games there, and that it offers you a lot of freedom. So I liked that, and also the game Daggerfall, which is kind of had a bit of a resurgence recently in popularity because it was the second Elder Scrolls game.
Right.
And the big part. So it just recently came out with something called Daggerfall Unity, which is basically the game running on Unity and a bunch of bugs corrected. So it's like the optimal way to play it now. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, like it's a full recreation of the game, but without having to play it on DOS or something.
Yeah,
so
it's aged. Yeah.
And people could add mods to it and fix bugs. I mean, the original game was super buggy. I mean, the idea behind the original game is it's this massive world, and most of it is procedurally generated. So you have thousands of towns and thousands of dungeons.
Right.
And, a lot of bugs also, like because it is such a broad, really ambitious, vast, open game. Like I remember one time I got a quest to it was in someone's house, and they were like, oh, there's a bear that's been reported in like the Ambrose residence, and you should go kill it. I was like, okay. So then I open my map and I'm looking it up, and I'm like, hey, I'm in the Ambrose residence. Like, what? And like, all of a sudden, bear spawns right back at me. It's like the funniest thing. Like, what the hell?
That one, cool game. Yeah, that one my brother had. That's really funny you bring up. My brother had Daggerfall, and that game was one of originally the things that I'm really obsessed with, like engines and open world stuff, and kind of how a game interacts with itself. And I remember like being young and watching and never seeing like the same two parts of the game twice, and to me that was like a huge. I was really interested. I'm not even making an open world game. I'm just lonely gamer.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. I mean, most of it is repeated,
right?
And like most of the towns look kind of the same,
right?
Which is, but I'm kind of trying to use like for the sequel to my game. I'm not sure exactly how big the world is going to be, but there's going to be a lot of procedural generation. But hopefully, I can do it in a way where the towns are somewhat more unique than the ones in there. But it's really cool the amount of ambition this game had. So definitely worth checking out for anyone who has only played the more recent entries in the line.
So that's interesting. So your Streets of Rogue 2, is that what it's going to officially be called? Is it just slapping the 2 on there?
No, not necessarily. I'm not sure yet. I haven't really decided.
So you've got like a concept for like an open world thing. Will it be like instanced similarly, like it's open world and then you go into like a dungeon, or is like the entire thing going to be like a totally open thing?
So I mean, you'll be able to go anywhere like with no load times is the idea. I mean, it's sort of what I've been working on with that's been the big challenge with making improvements to the engine that I have. And yeah, you'll be able to like go into places like down into areas like dungeons and things where there would be like a bit of a load, I guess. But the idea is to sort of I think the way that I'm going to work it is that like everybody will be playing the same world. Although, and you see, I'm not even sure about this yet because
right.
See, I mean, like I could just procedurally generate the world differently each time, but it would also be kind of cool if everybody was playing the same world, but it was just kind of enormous. Because people aren't going to see the same stuff generally, anyways. So yeah, I mean that's one thing I haven't really. I'm basically just building out the technology first. I haven't really started doing too much design yet.
Yeah, is there like an engine constraint on that for like the scope of what you're looking for, or is it just like you're not sure really where you're at with that yet?
I'm just not sure. It's not really an engine constraint. I mean, like right now, I've been working on it long enough that the open world stuff is basically like working. It's working well. It works in multiplayer. You can save your game. It saves. It's like
right.
it's like these are like the challenges you face. It's like you change something in the world and it has to save that, even though it's like this giant world. So you got to change save all these little minute changes that go on. It's one of the things Bethesda games do that some of the other open world games don't. Like in Bethesda games, like you can put down like an object anywhere in the world and it will save that thing. And a lot of the open world games just don't like save this sort of minute level of detail. But that's sort of what I'm trying to go for here. So it's been a challenge, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to make it with I don't know exactly what I'm going to want gameplay wise. So I'm just trying to make it as flexible as possible right now.
So you've been doing this for quite a while now. How old are you, Matt?
I am 36 years young.
Okay. So you've been at this for quite a while. You've been in the industry for. I was doing some research when you when you agreed to come on, and I was like, well, I should know my stuff. And I think I found your LinkedIn, which I don't. It's kind of creepy, but you've been like in the industry in LA for what, like 2005, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say in the industry. I mean, I was in the industry. I graduated college in 2006, and then I worked in the industry up until about 2008 or so. At which point I had difficulty finding work and just did other stuff for a while. And then in like the early 2010s, just sort of got back into making indie games, and that's how this whole thing came about.
Wow. So do you have other games on the books? I tried to look for some, but I didn't.
You mean like stuff I'm considering working on?
Stuff you've finished already,
like past content kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I did. When I was in high school, I did a game called. I mean, like nothing that anybody's really heard of.
Oh, okay.
Really, for the most part. I mean, I did a game called Aftershocked, which was like sort of an adventure game like the old LucasArts Sierra games. When I was in high school, actually, and it actually ended up making it into the monthly disc back when I guess this was the thing of like Computer Gaming World magazine.
Oh,
so that's cool. Yeah. And then I did another game in college called Between Heaven and Hell, which was like sort of in the style of like Out of This World and Flashback and Heart of Darkness, those sorts of games, like cinematic platformers. I did that one, and those were the only two indie games that I like finished. But yeah, that was a long time ago at this point.
When you got into like the industry initially out of college, where were you at? What were you doing?
I was my first job was at actually Blizzard Entertainment. I was a QA tester, which is sort of like the low rung on the totem pole, at least back then. And this was before they had their major campus. Right. They were just in like a crappy building somewhere. They had World of Warcraft come out a couple of years before, and they were working on the first expansion pack, that's what I was mostly testing there. That was a really fun job. I liked that a lot. I wasn't there for that long, but it was very memorable. I mean, like it was. I was working night shift also, so I mean, I was working, I think, until like, was it 4 a.m. or something like that.
I do that for free right now with WoW.
Still, World of Warcraft. Did you play any of the Burning Crusade content? Does anybody play Burning Crusade content anymore?
Yeah. I think it's about to release on Classic, which I believe makes it no longer Classic, but I'm pretty sure they're about to do TBC.
I thought that was in Classic, or maybe I don't know. But I think that's like maybe the oldest content in the game that hasn't been like updated in some way.
Yes, it hasn't.
Yeah.
So I guess but man, it's so long ago. It's. I mean, I guess the game has changed a lot, and it's not as much of a chore to level up your character, so you can probably just skip through that really fast or something, from what I could gather.
Yeah. Are you not in the WoW sphere anymore? You're not a big fan?
I mean, like I wasn't a fan when I was working there. I didn't like the game ever, even when I was working on it. It's kind of a problem because like around the office, like I don't know, I just like I don't know, most people were like loved the game, and I liked finding bugs in the game, but I didn't like playing the game. I never had any desire to do that. I sucked at it. So occasionally we would have to like test out a raid, like one of the new raids in the game. And the objective was to give feedback to the developers, and like I would always be the one to like screw up the raid or something.
Like you'd like mess up mechanics and stuff.
Yeah, like I remember there was this one where like there was like different polarities, and like if you were near a bunch of people and the enemy like triggered the polarity, like there was a plus and minus, and if you were in the wrong spot, you would like kill everybody around you. I hope nobody knows that was me. I hope nobody can figure that out. Like, oh. I mean, like that's like work time wasted right there. I mean, we're supposed to be like, this is a bunch of people getting paid to do this, so
it's your job,
right,
dude?
But overall, good time I had there. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm really enjoying that idea because no. Okay.
Yeah.
So you did that, and then so you're a QA there. What did you do next?
So I was I went back to my homeland of Massachusetts. I was working on a game called SimCity Societies, which was like sort of like a what did you call it? A spin-off of the main series.
Yeah.
And it was being done by the developers who were, a lot of them had worked at a company called Impressions. They had done games like Pharaoh and Caesar.
Oh man,
which were big in the 90s. Like,
yeah.
Sierra games. Yeah. So that was where they were coming from, and so I worked on that for 2007 and into 2008 for the expansion pack, and then the company basically like more or less closed down by the end of 2008. The games, it wasn't super successful in any regard, which is unfortunate, but it was developed in a really short amount of time. So
that's funny you bring that up. Do you watch a lot of YouTube at all?
I do on occasion.
Did you see the new Seth Seentalk video about Pharaoh?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I'll have to link to that. But he's a really funny guy. But he talks about, literally like 2 days ago, put out the Pharaoh video, and it's about that. And then at the end he talks about how like they just went right on right after.
Yeah, I mean, like I think there's actually a Pharaoh reboot coming out or something. Is that right?
That could be. I don't know.
There's a reboot of one of those games that they did that's coming out. But so like SimCity Society, developed very quickly from what I could gather. They just they'd done Caesar 4 and they just went on to that, and unfortunately, like the game is actually a lot better than people gave it credit for. Like it ended up being, they did a lot of patches like after it came out that balanced things a lot better. But it's sort of like buried in time at this point. I think I don't think they don't sold anymore or anywhere. But I don't know. It just seems to be long forgotten. But at least it wasn't as disastrous as that 2013 SimCity. I think that
oh god!
Wow,
I remember that one.
I didn't want to bring that up. That's
here's the funny thing. Like some of the systems that were supposedly like new in there, like the individual like NPCs like driving around and walking places, like that was in SimCity Societies, and it actually like our traffic system actually worked properly. So
worked at all.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, but it was a fun game to work on all the same. It was probably my favorite company I ever worked at, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a really nice place to be. No giant crunches or anything like that, like you hear about in the industry. But then after that, it was just hard to find work, and just like, I'm going to try doing something else since I'll probably get paid more and I can, I don't know, whatever. I kind of suck at everything that isn't video game development, unfortunately.
Well, hey, at least you know your strength. So it's just, you don't even have a studio, right? Like it's just Matt Dabrowski releasing the game.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I technically do have a studio name, but I don't really use it because I think if it's more endearing for people to know that there's an actual person behind it as
Sure.
opposed to like some studio. Yeah, I mean, I think it's reflected in like reviews and things that people will like mention. Oh, this is developed by one guy, and like he's active on forums and whatnot. So yeah, I think it works to your
Sure,
advantage.
yeah.
To,
Well, that's just good marketing, baby. That's it's knowing your audience.
Yeah.
You also, because you get picked up, Tiny Build is who published it, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that one is. I mean, everything they touch just fucking turns to gold. That had to have been really exciting for you to have gotten. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, that was huge. Yeah. So I had gone to GDC 2016, and I was in the Indie Mega booth that year. If you ever heard that, so I had gotten some attention from publishers, and I kind of wanted to weigh my options. And Tiny Build actually wasn't there, but I sent them like an email with an animated GIF and link to my current version of the game and stuff. And they actually tried it out, and then they liked it, and they ended up sending me an offer. So that's how that happened. But yeah, it was pretty exciting. They had just done some. They were like the sort of upstart at the time, and they had just put out Punch Club, and
right.
I don't know if you remember, they did something called Twitch Plays Punch Club, where like this big publicity thing where people were able to just control the game using Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch commands.
Twitch commands. Yeah. So I thought they're doing some like creative marketing stuff here, so it might be cool to join up with them, and yeah, it's worked out pretty nicely. They've done some really cool stuff for the game.
Yeah, they're from Europe, right? Is most of the guys you talk to have like sweet accents?
Yeah,
do they?
Yeah. Alex in particular, he's sort of the head of he's sort of the guy, the face of the company, more or less.
Right.
Yeah, you would have you call it a sweet accent for sure. They're based, I guess, overseas. I'm not sure where one of their studios is. One of them is in Seattle, though. That's their sort of American base of operations right now. Yeah.
So something I thought would be really interesting to talk about, because me and you share outside of this extremely successful podcast, I do a lot of music. I've done music for a long time, and I teach and write and produce and the whole thing. But for a lot of my releases, I have done pretty much a one-man like team. Like I have friends in the industry around here, and I've got connections and people who, like, if I need help I can reach out for. But I really actually like the freedom of creating like on my own. I've done it with other people, but I really enjoy creating on my own. And I'm just curious for you, do you sometimes wish you had like another dev? Have you thought about hiring someone, or are you like really on board with being just the guy behind Streets of Rogue?
I mean, it's worked out pretty well so far. I kind of like it, but it does kind of limit you in some ways. Like, I do wish I had, like the idea of like turning over my code to somebody else and just having them work on chunks of the game is sort of weird to me at this point, because I wouldn't really wish anyone to have to work on my code, to be honest with you. Right. But like for the sequel, we'll have to see. Like there's certain aspects of the game I think could have been expanded upon if I had more time. Like I wish there had been more variety in the types of buildings that you see in the game, for example. So like for the sequel, I'll probably end up like hiring someone on to do more design work for stuff like that, just because I kind of want this game to be expansive and have a lot of content in it, and I feel like I'm just not going to have the time to do everything I want to do myself. And same goes for the art. I think we'll probably end up kind of stepping up the art, the way the game looks for the sequel. So probably gonna have another artist, maybe a full-time artist or something.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, the first game. I mean, it's pixel art, and that was the most efficient way I could do things. Basically, like I did everything except for the background art, which is quite a bit. Like any of the backgrounds you see were done by this guy Matthew Weeks, who was contracting with me, and I would just tell him what I needed, and he would send it to me. But he wasn't like a full-time employee or anything. And then like the characters and the objects and stuff, I just did myself, and those went really quickly. Like I didn't really spend much time on art, didn't have to because of the style that I used. But I think the style was kind of a turnoff for a lot of people, and I think you can probably use something a bit more. Like if I mean the comparison I've been using lately is like the Escapists versus the Escapists 2. The Escapist is this top-down game where you're escaping from prison, and super pixelated and whatnot. And the sequel just looks a lot like professionals did the graphics.
Sure. Yeah. It's like super. It's not to like detract too much, but it's definitely one of those things with Escapist 2. Is I remember seeing Escapist 1 and I was like fascinated by it. It looked so cool, and so like it looked like a really fun game. And then I saw 2, and it very much looked like it went from more of like a personal project to a bit more on a company scale project.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened actually. I mean, like at some point I know the guy who had worked on it, right? Like he I think he headed up the team. But yeah, I mean, he basically did the first one himself, and it was a Kickstarter project, and one of the donors was one of the top donors was actually like the head of Team 17.
Oh, wow.
And then they saw potential in it, and they just took it on fairly quickly, I think. So,
that's really. Would you be? That's weird. Would you be willing to do something like that? Would like if there was like a huge investment opportunity to like take Streets of Rogue 2 to like a real hot thing? Would that be something you're interested in, or?
I mean, like, if someone like what? I mean, like, I think that like the Escapist 2 kind of thing is kind of achievable with not much more than what I have right now.
Sure,
I mean,
just
like
yeah.
I mean, I really all I think to do that would be like I'm saying, like another artist or two or something, and could probably get something like that. I think it's achievable, but yeah, I don't know exactly. I mean, really, like I was saying, I'm just trying to build out the technology first and kind of try to get at least some of the game design stuff in there, and at some point when I'm ready to build out content, then I'll hire people on, and I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, or maybe if it's going to be this year, 2021. So yeah, we got to see.
That is exciting. So was Streets something you always wanted to do? Was this like a passion project that's like simmered for like years and years and years, or was there like a light bulb moment where you're like, ooh, I have a great idea?
I'd say it was more of a light bulb moment. I had been working on another game for a little under a year, which was sort of like a Metroidvania type game, which was I thought what my passion project would end up being, and then I don't know, I was kind of getting a little bored with working on it, and I started just coming up with ideas, and roguelites were becoming a big thing at the time, and I was playing Binding of Isaac and Spelunky, and I realized that nobody had done one that had these more like they're all like shooters basically. Right. Spelunky's not. Well, shooters are platformers or something they took like a very simple form of gameplay and turned it into did random generation with it. I was thinking like, what if you did something like a stealth action Deus Ex style game and turn that into a roguelite. And I mean, people love Deus Ex. They're like, I was trying to think of this from a marketing angle also. Yeah, dude,
yeah, for sure.
Roguelikes are hot right now. People love Deus Ex. Yeah, let's stick those together. See how
Yeah. It worked out. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I thought like all the what about like I'm just trying to think of like the cool possibilities that you could pull off with this thing, and I had this idea for like a mission where you like you say you have to like break into a science lab and like steal an important document, and you'd have the option of shooting your way through, or you could go in and sneak around and steal that document off of a scientist, or you hack a computer and let a bunch of gorillas out of their cages, and then the gorillas beat up the scientists, and then you take the document. I thought that was really funny and like something that people would be interested in checking out. And I also couldn't think of any other games that let you do that. So I was like, well, I mean, part of like marketing angles is like giving something people that they don't know that they want,
Sure.
That they don't have right now. So it's like this is like, okay, this is like a great combination thing that I think could be successful and also would be really interesting to work on. So and I guess my instincts were correct.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
yeah.
Man, what a moment of joy playing Streets of Rogue for the first time and figuring out the gorilla thing and being like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Dude, when the first time I loaded up that fucking the screen, like the character screen, and I was looking through the character and I saw the gorilla, it was like my priority goal.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I love the gorilla.
I purposely made that like one of the easier ones to unlock because I knew people were going to want to play that one. When I was doing like testing in the field, like at GDC and like at trade shows, like everybody picked the gorilla.
Dude, hell yeah, everyone loves it.
Okay. So do you have like a favorite class in the game? Do you have like a favorite that you like to? Well, first of all, I should ask, do you play your own game? I know obviously you like test it. Well, that's a fair question. I'm sure there's people out there who've made games too.
It is a fair question. I mean, honestly, not as much as you might think.
Sure.
I mean, like I spend a lot of time in the game or testing things in the game, but not just like playing for fun. I mean, like it's funny. Like the only times I get to play it like at length are when I'm doing like the occasional stream of the game or something. Like we're having like a sale on Steam, and I do like a stream that appears on the Steam page or something.
Right. Yep.
And then I'll play for like a bunch of hours and chat with people and whatever. But yeah, like I don't really. I mean, the idea of just like just sometimes people ask me to play multiplayer with them, and I'm just like, I just don't. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. It's just weird. Like to me, just I don't know why I would want to play this for pleasure at this point. I mean, not that I don't like the game. Obviously, I do. It's just spend so much time. You spend so much time with anything, and you kind of just. I mean, like if I'm in a situation where I have to like the streaming thing, I'll have fun with it, but just don't want to do it any more than that, really.
I
then for
imagine. Oh no, go ahead.
If I have to like balance test something, which I don't really for the first game anymore, that's pretty much set in stone at this point.
Right.
But yeah, go on. What were you saying?
I was just gonna mention I imagine it's also. It's when you're playing the game, it's not just you like sitting down and be like, I'm gonna have fun for the back of your mind. I imagine it's like you're still looking at the game through the eyes of a game dev still, like it's your creation. So you still like, like you're like, oh, I'm gonna play as a funny monkey, but you're also looking at stuff like how you can improve the experience or like what could you add more or something like that,
Could the monkey be funnier?
Yeah, it's an example, but like, yeah, it's.
I mean, yeah, it's sort of incredibly difficult to look at your game objectively after a point, no matter how hard you try, and it's like you don't really know if it's fun, quote unquote fun at a certain point. I mean, I might like sort of enjoy my time playing, but I'm looking at it from a completely different perspective than the average person playing it. So yeah, I don't know, like it's hard. It's hard not to go through and just be sort of critical of every little thing that's going wrong.
Yeah.
Which your mind is a lot. Maybe someone else it isn't, but yeah. I mean, that was sort of a big chunk of development. I mean, since we had this, or I had this form that people could write in if they play on the escape menu, where they could just send me bug reports and balance issues and just suggestions and all that. And I used to get a ton of those. I don't get as many anymore just because the game has a lot fewer bugs in it than it used to. But yeah, it became sort of an obsessive thing to weed all the bugs out of this thing, and which is quite difficult because there's so many interactions that can occur in the game, like between just random stuff that I couldn't have even imagined.
Yeah, right. It's become too big to control.
Yeah, I mean, it's just big and small. Like the other day, I just fixed a bug where, you possess or you mind control a zombie using the alien, and when the zombie comes out of mind control, their eyes go from being yellow to white. Because the zombies normally have yellow eyes, but when they go into mind control mode, they have red eyes. But when they switch back, they don't switch to the yellow. So I wasn't anticipating that when I made that, but somebody noticed it, and now we gotta fix it.
I didn't even realize there's an alien in the game. What the?
Yeah, that's
that's DLC right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the DLC you bought for. Yeah, so I bought them. This is a great time to jump in on this. So I bought them the 3 damn games, or the 2 games for him and my buddy, and we all played it. And then he gave me the DLC back, and he's like, "We're even," and I'm like, "Well."
Okay, hold on.
I think you got the DLC for like $3, but we'll assume your currency's doing that bad.
What the heck?
What does it cost in Australia these days?
So on the game full price in Australia costs $28.
Okay, so it's not so bad. Yes.
Yeah, it's like not bad, and then it's like $8 on sale. But yeah, the currency isn't really strong here in the funny land of the kangaroos.
Yeah.
So.
It's a lot worth in retail, right? Like if you just go to buy a game at the store, it's like ridiculously expensive, right?
Yeah, like AAA games specifically, they go for like $100.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, that one's wild to me, because I can't. I was thinking about this. I have a great story about. I went for a run before we went here, and I have a great story about the horrible stuff that happened there. But when I was out for my run, I was thinking about it like. Some of my favorite games in the last like 3 or 4 years have been like indie titles. Like I think one of the biggest standout ones for me, besides this game, obviously, is I really loved Deep Rock when it came out. Deep Rock Galactic. I had a lot of fun with that. And I don't think Ghost Ship has that many people on it. It's like definitely indie. But man, I can't remember the last time I've bought like a AAA title, probably besides Monster Hunter World or the Resident Evil remake, which are both Capcom, which is not great. I can't remember the last time I've like really been like, yep, I'm glad I spent $60 on that. And if it was 100, I'd be like, never buying games ever again.
Yeah, I imagine $60. I mean, it's weird to think that like so the next generation. I think what was it? It's going to be $70 or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the prices go up for the next generation.
Oh my god.
Sounds like a lot, but then I mean, Super Nintendo games cost $70 a lot of the time back in the 90s. So, I mean, those oftentimes, I mean, there's a pretty good likelihood it would suck really hard. I mean, like,
Right.
I mean, like today there's like the quality controls. I mean, a bad game now is not like a bad game of that back then.
Right.
No, I mean, there's some real clunkers. I mean, even if you buy a bad game now, it's probably just like super buggy or. I mean, like what's like what is even like a really terrible AAA release look like now? I mean, at like maximum or minimum, that's going to get like a 5 out of 10 on IGN or something, right? Like, it's not going to be terrible. There's going to be like a level of quality there.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I don't know.
Well, and people being able to like see it too, like having like this instant availability of information. Like I can, like I didn't have to buy Cyberpunk to know Cyberpunk didn't work.
Yeah, the internet will tell you that.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 hot takes on. Yeah. You want to look up Cyberpunk bugs? I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's no more popular genre of video out on YouTube right now.
Yeah,
Cyberpunk bug videos.
Shitting on Cyberpunk. That's a really interesting one because I from everything I've read on the internet and on Reddit and everything, it sounds like it wasn't like a huge shareholder push. I don't know if maybe if I'm reading that wrong or I interpreted something wrong, but it sounded like it was not like a huge like investors are knocking on the door.
I thought it was. I mean, I thought maybe you read more than I did, but I think they were doing this to make them happy. I mean, I'm sure they wanted to get it out by the Christmas season,
right?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I mean, they had like 8 million pre-orders, I believe.
Yeah,
now they have 13 million copies. So
it exploded. Like they had so much money coming in, even when the game wasn't out. It's insane.
Right. Yeah, well, and that's cool because that's why I was confused because I was like, "There's no way anyone who creates anything, you don't have to be a game dev, got a hold of like the final copy that got released." And they're like, "Yep, $60, please, right now."
Yeah. It's like I have to wonder about certain aspects of it that are not working right now that everybody's laughing at. And it's like, so I mean, like one of the main things is the artificial intelligence for the characters and just the people on the street. Like they'll park a car in front of somebody instead of just walking around it. They'll just turn back and walk the other direction.
Right.
Like and I just have to wonder if systems like that, if they were just like, we need to ship this thing. All this stuff is not working quite right. So just strip out the AI systems because we need to get this to run on like the PS4 and the Xbox One, and like anything that we can do to like to get this thing working at a semi-reasonable frame rate. Like you just got to cut everything out. I mean, I just have to wonder about that stuff. Like if that was actually something that they intended for just to not implement these systems or what, or if they just had to be stripped out or something. I don't know.
That's an interesting one. I heard the General Sam podcast, which is a great podcast. We can plug other podcasts over here. But he was talking about how like when they talk about like they have this commitment to like fixing the game, like some of that seems like really, really heavy lifting for like some of the crowd generation stuff, or like some of the police like just don't have AI. They like spawn on top of you and stuff.
The police thing is like huge. I can't imagine like I just can't like imagine like how that was even like passed, unless obviously like it was like really pushed just to come out.
Yeah,
because
I have to assume that's what it was. I mean, it's just, no, I mean they must have known like go. You could make the argument that well, that's not the focus of the game. Causing chaos is not the focus, and it's more just about these missions. But I mean, come on, it's like they're making a GTA or an open world. It's like GTA style. I mean, they must have known going in that they wanted this couldn't have been like the intention when they set out to do this. They couldn't have started development saying, okay, well, we're just not going to implement these systems.
Right.
Like, like the fact that drivers just don't have artificial intelligence. I guess there's no driving. I haven't played it much. I guess there's no driving missions in the game, or no ones are actually like cars.
There's racing missions, I believe,
nice.
But I think they're obviously. I think they're like preloaded or whatever the terminology is. It's like I think it's like it's like a different scenario. But in the game world, like if you park a car in a street, cars will keep going. They'll stop right in front of it, and it'll keep backing up because the AI doesn't know how to go around, reverse, get out, walk around. So.
Yeah, and that stuff is tough, by the way. I've actually recently been implementing car artificial intelligence coincidentally, and like, cars are going to be in the sequel.
Nice, you heard it here first, baby.
I've mentioned this before other places. it's not a first time I've mentioned this, but
Never mind.
yeah. But yeah, no, it's difficult to make it so that they're not just going crashing into everything.
Sure.
It's not. I mean, because normally AI, it's like you can just have people turn on a dime, but cars don't work that way. Right. So they have to be able to take into account. Okay, I do need to back up here, but I shouldn't be backed up into this thing.
Yeah.
And cars.
The idea of a car just like turning on like a 90-degree angle instantly cracks me up.
Like Roblox cars, they're just like.
Yeah.
Is that a Roblox? I haven't seen Roblox really, but how they work? Is that how they work in Roblox?
Say it again. Did you what?
Is that how they work in Roblox?
So I mean, Roblox is such an insane like. I teach as well, and a lot of my students like Roblox. So, at one point, this was like 2 years ago, me and Bear and one of our other friends were like, let's play Roblox. It's free. Let's just fucking do it, dude. There is so much stuff in that game. I don't know. I don't know why anyone listening to this would know that, but like, there is just 1,000 billion like Gmod style, like, whatever wacky game is on there, and some of them are just like clearly made by like children or teenagers, and some of them are just like not working, or they're hilariously like stuff is just turning like that and phasing through everything. But
then that exists, but at the same time, there's stuff on there which feels like it was made by a company almost.
Yeah.
Like it's insane that game is incredibly weird.
Yeah. We're sponsored.
I don't know much about it, but I know that somebody I know actually has started a real company to make games in Roblox.
Wow.
Like that's the purpose of the company. I think it's like 20 people right now, so I guess it's pretty huge.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude.
Damn, Roblox pays, man.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Fuck this. We're making a Roblox company. Wow, that's really concerning. I'm very concerned about that. I don't remember The Witcher 3 launching this bad. So, someone mentioned that the other day.
I mean, when your game gets taken off the PlayStation Store, I mean that's another level of bad. But
that's pretty crazy too.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was not great when it launched, but not like this. I mean, from what I can gather, the PC version, like, although it has all these like funny graphical things and obviously the AI not working in places where you'd expect it to, you can play through the game. Right. And I mean, I was mentioning before, I couldn't even get past the first mission without finding something game breaking, but I got the sense that I could have played through it and it would have been mostly okay.
Right.
I just don't want to do it right now. They got too much of a backlog. They can wait.
Yeah. Right. It definitely works on PC. I think it was the console reaction that set off such like negative just internet warfare on this game, but like the PC version, you could definitely play through the entire game and be like, there's like bugs here and there, but your frame rate isn't going to drop to like 5 FPS.
Well, maybe I guess it depends on your PC. Well, I mean, I was able to turn all the ray tracing stuff on my PC is fairly recent, so that was cool. But yeah, I thought it looked pretty nice. I mean, at least it's getting awards for graphics this year.
Yeah,
it's not the game they were hoping for, but yeah, I'm eager to play it once it's done.
Yeah,
it's definitely a fun game. It's just it definitely needs a bit more
polish.
Like,
I'm really interested because when PlayStation took it off, it sounded like when they took it off, it was a reaction to CD Projekt Red being like, you can have a refund. And Steam's like, or not Steam, Sony's like, well, we didn't say that. So I don't know if it was like it's enough where it was like almost like consumer fraud, or not consumer, but like fraud, where like they were selling a game that did not work to people who were buying it on systems it did not work on, or if it was like a PR pissing match. I'm really interested to see where that lands.
The other thing that I'd heard about, and actually, I mean, like, as you know, someone who's put the game through the certification process, I mean, like, so what's also possible is that you know, when they initially put the game through certification, you know, it had come out mostly fine, but you know, once the game crashes a lot, which is something that you can't really, that they kind of don't approve.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this wasn't something that came out during certification, but then they found that all these users are having their game crash, and this kind of puts it over the edge for something that they can't actually sell. You know, it's like once they got out into the wild that they realized just how bad the situation was. So that's a possibility for why what might have affected the decision to do that.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what becomes of that. But I'll probably, you know, I love The Witcher 3, and I was really excited for. I liked the idea of the game enough, and I liked The Witcher 3 quite a bit. So I was like, yeah, I'll play it, and I feeling pretty smart right now. Okay, so I wanna round out a little bit of this with a question. I do this most episodes, but usually it's a really stupid question. But it's gonna be not a stupid question, and it's a question that I think I've asked Bear before. But do you consider what you do like an art form? Do you consider like video games an art? And like, if so, where is the line between like crazy innovation in technology and like you know, like a culturally relevant piece?
Honestly, I don't know. I guess it depends on your definition of art, and
Sure.
I don't honestly, I don't know or care that much, to be frank.
Nice.
I mean,
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if I consider what I would do to be art. I mean, I'm just making things that I think are fun and people enjoy. I don't. Uh, I don't know. I mean, like, certainly doesn't feel like it. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Right.
I mean, like, what I do all day is I mean, I solve puzzles all day, basically, you know, programming. And I mean, it's like, I don't know. When I think of art, I think of more left brain oriented stuff. And that's definitely not what I'm up to most of the time.
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably not the person to ask about this. You know, you can make a case for a game like Limbo or something, or I don't know, like Braid maybe. But this game is just so like technical. I don't know. It just doesn't ring as art to me.
Sure. No, that's a fair. I like the, you know, I feel like that's a question that's like been a meme for a long time. You know, are video games art? And I think it's interesting in my mind when you talk about like, you know, I thought about this, was like when Red Faction Guerrilla came out, like the game, the story was like, I don't know, forgettable enough that I don't remember it. But
Free Mars.
Like yeah, right, exactly, yeah, it was Free Mars. But the engine was really cool, and when I don't know, I had to have been like in grade school still when Red Faction came out. I thought that the like destruction engine, is that the Havoc engine? Is what that is? I don't know.
I guess a physics engine.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about, but right, yeah.
Yeah, that to me, I was so enthralled in that, in the same way I was like enthralled by like listening to like my dad's like cassette tapes of Lord of the Rings. It was like a very visceral like moment of what? No, it was like a huge moment.
I know. It's a very old person.
I know.
Tapes of Lord of the Rings.
I was thinking about that too. He had these like old timey. They weren't even like 8 tracks. I don't even know what the hell they were. There was gigantic like cassettes of like there was like 80 of them of the old Robert Inglis audiobook of Lord of the Rings. It was fantastic. It's probably why I like fantasy so much. But I had like the same like curiosity and wonder when I like played that engine, and I don't know. I always like to think about like where does like a technical advancement like that become like so visceral? It's you know, huge. Arty.
I don't know. I don't know. It's tough to say again. Like I don't know how people define art.
Sure.
So it's I don't know. People I know people got up in arms about Roger Ebert when he said no games can't be art, and I don't know if I disagree. I don't know. It's not something I never really cared much about. Like I was saying, it's just like whatever you enjoy it, do it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you're creating. So I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, I think someone who gets really good at like making a really good steering column, like that's an art form. Like if you work in, if you're like working a factory and you're you get like really good. You're like the guy who makes steering columns. You make the best yeah, dude, you're the steering column fucking master. Like, I think that's art. Or like someone who's like a really good. I was gonna say blacksmith. Black. Like if you're making like amazing swords and you love your craft, like I think a craft can be art. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I'm sure to people who make it ultra doesn't matter because you're just creating. But
sure, I guess. I mean, it's hard for me to like think about programming and like in that way. It's like, oh, this guy does amazing programming. Like this is like
Yeah.
art form. I don't know. Maybe you can make a case for like John Carmack or something. I've heard he has like really elegant, amazing code. But most code is just a giant mess, including for Streets of Rogue. I think, yeah. So. Yeah, most of us are just kind of like hacks, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's. I mean, well, it's like a language, right? Like you're kind of like putting together like a dialect of some sort. I think that's relevant. It may not be like you're not making a Sistine Chapel like code piece, but
The Sistine Chapel, it performs its function. It looks amazing and it just works perfectly.
It just works.
Can't really say that about most games. They're kind of like a house of cards.
Right, ready to. I've always heard that about Blizzard code, that like the WoW code it's aged really badly, and like apparently there's been like years of compounding like band-aids on it, that like the WoW code is.
Wouldn't shock me. I mean, you don't. I mean, they started developing in like 2002. I remember I saw screenshots when I was there. I was looking at like the oldest bugs in QA. I would see screenshots from like literally 2002 version of WoW. Yeah, I mean, you don't have 18 years worth of code in the same game with full staff and without having a lot of baggage there, I imagine. I mean, I guess at least with mine, since I've been working on it the entire time, at least, I don't know. See, here's the thing: I never actually programmed professionally, so I don't even know how my code compares to like a real product's code.
Really?
It's yeah.
Is that not what you went to college for?
I went to school for computer science, so I mean, I should have been programming. I was just doing QA in a bunch of places, like for web stuff. After I did.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
Oh.
So, I've been making use of that degree that
yeah, I mean, there's quality analysts at some point in Streets of Rogue, just not the whole thing. That's in it. Yeah, I always worried that WoW was going to burn down my house. Like WoW was going to cause like an electrical fire or something, and just like everything I love is gone. The game I love dearly has just destroyed me.
But I do remember like early on trying to play it online, and it literally caused I would go to like, what was that place, like the place that everybody would go to, like the most popular place in the world early on. I forget what it was called. Maybe you could tell me, but it had like stone lava and stones and stuff.
Ironforge?
It might have been Ironforge. It would have been a capital of one of the cities.
Yeah.
Well, there were so many people there, and it was like it would like cause my internet to go out. I'd have to restart my.
Dude, WoW DDoSes its users.
Yeah, no, I would have to restart my modem, and then I'd go back in. My character's still there, so I get a few more steps away from there, and then I start my modem again. And eventually, I get far enough away that there's not like a million people there breaking my internet for me. Yeah.
That's Yeah, that's we talked about this the other day, but WoW, the WoW is a bad game. Like we can just put it out there. Like it's like easily my favorite game for sure. I've played WoW for like pre-Cata. It's been a long time, and I love it dearly. But like every criticism of that game is insanely valid. Like the engine is so friggin' dated. It's such a fucking, it's got to be a nightmare. There's 26 DPS classes that they have to balance all the time. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. That seems like an insanely difficult thing to do. But I love it. And it's got so much character and maybe even nostalgia at this point that like I don't like the game. Like every time I log into the game could be like, fuck you, you should die. And like I'd be like, okay, well,
we're gonna take more of your money this time.
They're like, we're raising the sub price from $15 to $45 a month, and I'm like, I guess I better get a second job.
Boy, yeah, it's been a little bit since I played that.
It's probably best. It's probably for the best. Listen, and that's another one where like when people are like, man, I hate WoW, I'm like, yep. Like you're right. Like it's
my bank account doesn't, but
yeah, I've paid Blizzard probably more money than I ever should have. But you got to support the. I was gonna say they're not even who they were then. But
at least they have things you can buy in the game now. Do they have like microtransaction stuff like everybody else does, or is just the $15 fee?
Yes, technically they do. They have boosts, which pretty much like put you to max level, so they don't have to do the leveling process. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'd say that's pretty microtransaction-y. But there's nothing that kind of like directly makes you better than other players.
Yeah, there's nothing pay to win, and also the shop is extremely unintuitive. Like the shop on the Blizzard on like Battle.net will take you. It's like, oh, I want to buy whatever. And it's like, okay, go do it in game. And I'm like, well, why can't I buy it here? And they're like, oh, go do it in game. Then you go in game, and it's in like a tiny tab on the bottom right, and you have to put. There's like the menus for it are. I mean, as bad as they were, I'm sure in 2006, but the paid stuff is like so far out of the way. Like it's not. I am very impressed that they haven't like front paged like super hard. It's you like have to look for paying extra money in the game, but you can.
Boy, so they're not like selling cosmetics to you at least.
Well, so that wasn't for a long time. It wasn't. But you can get like pets and stuff, but they're like something. I think a lot of people don't really play with the pets. They're more like a sideline thing. Yeah.
Wow.
But recently they released. If you had like I think it was like this 8-month sub or something.
If you were subscribed for the prior 6 months, you got. They've done a few of those actually.
Well, you got like you get like a custom. Not custom, but like a unique outfit essentially you can put on over your armor.
Yeah.
And you look like a fairy or something. But
it was some of them have been okay. The issue is they start reusing assets that were like locked behind something. Like I remember when so have you kept up at all with WoW since you left the beautiful QA team?
Yeah, I mean, like every time they release an expansion, I might watch a video review or something.
Okay,
but
so the dragon things from Mop from Mists of Pandaria, for a long time were gated behind like quite a big rep grind in the Jade Forest. Well, one of the like bonus like thanks for subscribing for 6 months was like one of what was like a legendary mount from that, and people were really upset. That didn't. People weren't happy. Same thing. There's like a rat thing, also from Mop. They just like shit out a bunch of Mop content recently again.
That
was,
rat
like,
mount.
Squeakers. That's what his name is.
Yeah. You get, and then but in order to get an actual rat mount, you'd have to grind something in like Dalaran, which is like I think Wrath it was, or Legion.
Yikes.
And you have to grind for something that would take like about a week ish. Yeah, and it's just but you get it for free if you pay money.
Yeah, so I don't know. I understand they're a company that has to make money, so I don't. And I also, again, like I said, they could break into my house and like, I don't know, set it on fire, take my cat, and I'd be like, okay, well, I gotta.
Yeah.
Don't
And
know
I
what
know
I'm
they
gonna.
gotta make. I know they gotta make money, but not to be sassy. But they are already kind of, you know,
Yeah, they are
every
kind of
month
already.
giving me money, and then also charge me on top of that to play the new expansion. Whatever. I won't.
Yeah, we won't get too far into that.
Yeah. I remember back when it was a big deal, you type in /pizza, and we go to Pizza Hut's website or something, and you order your pizza while you're playing your WoW.
What?
When was this?
Yeah, what? I don't remember that.
Maybe you can still do it. Probably not. The promotion's
Hold on.
probably, but yeah, you type in
Yeah. Hold
slash.
on, Bear. Go.
I'm investigating. Huh?
Slash.
This was a thing.
pizza.
I hadn't thought about it in a long time, but yeah.
Do I have to like put my address in the WoW text bar?
I have to put my entire address in trade chat.
Yeah. Here's my. Oh wow. Ooh, I never thought about that. Like the prospect of someone like putting their like social security number in trade chat. Holy shit, dude. That's so.
No, it would just take you to a website. But, oh wait, yeah, I'm like having trouble finding information. Wait, hold on. Wait, no, it was EverQuest 2. Never mind.
Wow, that's still around. We could play that. Ooh. Nah, I'm not.
Oh yeah, so WoW did a parody of that, apparently called Pandaren Express. It was a fictional food delivery service integrated in World of Warcraft.
Oh.
It was a parody of a real-life business deal between EverQuest 2 and Pizza Hut, in which typing /pizza from within EQ2 allowed players to order pizza from the comfort of their gaming chair.
It did not say gaming chair.
They did say gaming chair.
Wow.
I didn't know gaming chair.
How long ago was this?
This was probably like 2006, around 2005, 2006. I
Who
imagine.
had gaming chairs in 2005 and 6?
Yeah.
It was office chairs.
My horrible beige office chair.
I don't know. I mean, they probably just meant like some people. You can find like images of this. You search EverQuest 2 Pizza Hut. Hunger pains interrupting your game. Order pizza while playing EverQuest.
Wow. That man, there's like a line where like I don't mind. I don't know, like when Halo is like, oh, Master Chief drinks Mountain Dew, drink, like for like I guess I don't care about that, but like when it's like in the game, the product placement's like in the game, it's like
I can /pizza my order, dude.
I mean, it's like with you ever played Ninja Turtles on Nintendo, the second one, they had advertising for Pizza Hut everywhere.
Yeah.
This is the first time Pizza Hut's done this. Like, that was actually intrusive. But it came with a coupon for a free personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut. The game did. That was like a splash on the middle of the box, the front of the box, and then in game you'd see a bunch of ads for Pizza Hut. This was in 2005 apparently that this occurred.
Man, I just want to know if these like what I want to go to college for a marketing degree, and there's some of these where I'm just like, did you not have, like, there's no way a bunch of college professionals were like, okay, if you spend $60, you can get $1 off pizza. You can get a pizza. Like, I just don't believe like a team of people are like, oh, this is it. This is the best we can do.
I mean, well, we actually used it. I did go to Pizza Hut.
Did you actually use it?
Yeah.
My man.
Coupon, and I was in like first grade or something, and my parents and I went to Pizza Hut, and we got my free personal pan pizza. This is back when it was a real restaurant with waiters and stuff. So
wow, yeah, I don't remember that.
It used to be a real place you'd go to, and apparently the dough quality was a lot higher back then, from what I've heard. I remember it being pretty. Yeah, now it sucks. It's terrible. But yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it was like an incentive for me to buy the game.
Right.
But
right.
I just want pizza.
Yeah, I just want pizza, man. I need the Ninja Turtles. Give me the pizza. Yeah, in my horrible millennial existence, Pizza Hut has been pretty much terrible as long as I can remember, and gross. Like you go in them and they're like old buffet, and this might just be that I live in like a not like high income, high development area, but like they're just gross old buildings and the floors are sticky. It's like I'm in a movie theater, but for food. Not good.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know when this change occurred, but yes, it used to be a legitimate sit down place where you'd go with your family, like probably the equivalent of like any other chain like an Applebee's or something. Not that's not gross. I mean, probably is.
Yeah,
that's not like Olive Garden. Like it was a weird experience. It's just I don't know. Like people getting angry. Someone like had a giant argument, slammed their drink down on our table as they left. I don't know. I mean, the food was okay, very salty, but
yeah.
Very salty.
So I forgot to ask this. Has and I know everyone's gonna ask this, and I'm sure if you've done other ones, other people have probably asked this. So just hold on. How has COVID affected anything with Streets of Rogue or Streets of Rogue 2, or has it been kind of business as usual since?
Yeah, not at all, really. I mean, the biggest thing that's affected the game was that I had a son this year at the beginning of the year. That was January. So, I mean.
Oh, wow, you're a new dad.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Wow, great timing, right?
Yeah, right before COVID hit, so me and my wife and my son just get to stay home all day.
Aww.
And, I mean, I was already staying home all day, so now I have a young son around. So yeah, I have to work later hours because it's harder to get stuff done during the day sometimes. But overall, I mean, it hasn't really slowed development or anything. So yeah, mostly business as usual.
Wow. Yeah, it's Matt's gamer proof. He's good. He can do. He doesn't need to worry about anything. Well, fantastic. I think we will call it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Matt, for coming on the podcast. If you haven't bought this game, do it. It's an amazing game. It's unlike other roguelikes you've played, or roguelite, or whatever. Steam has both categories on there, which pisses me off, because I was like, which is it? Is it roguelite or is it roguelite? And Steam's like, yes. So it's got part of that genre in it. But it's unlike Risk of Rain. It's unlike, the only thing I could say has the same level of innovation would be like Noida, which I thought was a very interesting one and also insanely infuriating, and I'm angry about it. But it's a huge innovation thing, and buy the game. It's a good game. Just buy the damn game. You can upset me. And it's on sale right now.
Yes, for another couple of days. Probably not by the time this comes out, right? I mean, like
it's it's at the time of recording. There's 40 hours left to get it.
Oh,
at 71% off. But even then, you should. It's also worth.
Dude, it's
price.
worth $25. That's what upsets me about me buying it 3 times. Is like I don't regret it, right? Like I regretted buying. Oh God. Oh help me. Cold War. I bought Call of Duty Cold War. That'd be a no for me. I'm not getting suckered into that one more time by Cole. That will not happen again. But that was a big old fat like instant like 20 hours in regret, and I'm like, oh Jesus, it's there's no way Blizzard's gonna give me a cent.
Well, I mean, probably like you know exactly what you're getting every year. Right? I thought.
Okay, see, now I knew you were gonna dunk on me, and everyone else has dunked on me for this. Okay. Every time. Okay, so the new Modern Warfare came out, and both. This one in here, the Australian wonder Jibby, and my friend
I'm
Cole.
not Jibby.
You are Jibby. You're my secretary. They both played it, and they're like, "Oh, dude, feels amazing, pretty great. I mean, it just feels pretty fluid. It feels really good." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't get Modern Warfare, and then Cole's like, "Oh, dude, Cold War feels pretty new, feels pretty good. Engine feels great. And I'm like, okay, I have income. Let's give it a try. I haven't played an FPS with my friends since we stopped playing Siege, which that's a rough 1,000 hours down the drain. But yeah, and I fell for it. So yeah, I'm sorry, Matt. You're right. I'm sorry. I should have known better. And it was even on Battle.net. It was like every time I got on WoW, it's like right there. It's like, well, you want to buy me? Come on, don't you want to buy me? Wow, yeah, but yeah. So buy the game.
You should show people something enough. That's part of the rules of marketing. There, you show something people enough times. Like I think the average person sees something 7 times before they buy it, or something like that. So that's how they got that.
That is, hey, listen, that's I've heard that before, and I just needed a little prod from one of my trusted friends, and I will, in the future, I will not trust my friend. I've learned my lesson. It's not Activision's fault. It's my cohorts is what it is. Awesome. Well, I will actually probably get this out pretty quick. I'm off, dude. Our work has been doing this like cool rotation where I'm like on for 6 days and then off for 6 days. So like usually the issue with any of these coming out is I have to work at like 7 a.m. the next morning, and these for them to get done. Bear is like usually waking up like right now. It's like 10 a.m. in Australia, right?
It is currently 12 p.m. I woke up at not the reveal of the plot, but I woke up specifically to make sure I can respond to Matt in time. I had to make sure I was up.
Yeah, and honestly, but before we finish this, I should give him some commendations. I don't know why I sent the Australian who lives in a different time zone from he's like, oh, is where you live in the Midwest and LA not in the same time zone? And I'm like, no, it's no. There are several in between.
That stressed me out a bit. I was
that was my bad. I didn't delegate correctly. That was an oversight. But yeah, he did a great job and woke up real early. I probably should have reached out to Matt, but that's fine.
Well, appreciate it.
Yeah, hey, listen, we're happy to have you on, and this was Guildies episode 5.